Hey, sexy. Welcome back to Godfather Minute. I'm Alex Robinson.
And I'm sexy?
I was talking to the listener.
Oh, damn. I'm Andy Robinson.
And together we are the Godfather Minute Brothers. Today we're talking about minute 113.
The whole minute.
113.
Alex, e minuto?
E minuto.
Numero?
113. 13,
You're
meaning
right.
310.
You're right. Oh, look, you're a Latin poet and you didn't even know it.
Thank you. I'm glad finally being acknowledged for my poetry.
113.
13.
You got it.
Okay.
I just want to verify this. You were not calling me sexy at the beginning of this episode. Is that right?
I was speaking to the listener.
Okay, because for the next 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about a naked Apollonia and marriage and consummation. I just want to get this out of the way, get it out of the way right now.
Going to be a lot of uncomfortable subjects brought up.
Okay, I'm going to try not to look at you in the eye too much during this episode.
This episode is adults only.
Yeah. Is that what they used to say in shows too? Like a very serious episode.
Viewer discretion, listener discretion advised. Well, minute 113, Mikey and Apollonia on their honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
They kiss, and she delicately drops her silk blouse, revealing her knockers.
I was just about to say, you write as well as Puzo. That was pretty thoughtful until you got to the end there.
Hey, I know what the public wants. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman in red gets out of a cab in front of the Corleone compound.
Who can it be? Do you recognize her?
I have a feeling that's our old friend Kay Adams. I'd recognize those ankles anywhere.
Oh.
Why is it that?
Oh, I don't know. I guess aren't women sensitive about their ankles?
Well, I just think because she's wearing a full dress. And the only part of her you can see is her ankles.
True,
yeah.
That was revealing back in the 40s.
Oh, yeah. She was, because they were slut shaming her totally for wearing that. Walking around with your ankles off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
You're so big.
Classic Sicilian woman wouldn't be seen showing her ankles like that.
No way. Well, you want to talk about Kay Adams first and save the Apollonia stuff for last, or
I guess I don't have much to say about Kay Adams.
I don't really have much to say about.
She really just gets out of the car.
Yeah,
I think her exchange is going to be in the next minute.
Yeah, because that's tough. They got some Hagen talk there too. Do you think? Obviously, it was done on purpose to have the scene where Mikey finally nails Apollonia. Then it segues right to Kay Adams getting it.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
There is a lot of that.
A lot of key transitions.
It's almost like Francis Ford Coppola did it on purpose. It was like purposely was putting like thematically similar scenes together. It's really weird.
Yeah.
We should get him on the show sometime.
You think he'd come talk to us?
I'm sure he would.
Right?
I'm sure he wants to publicize his movies.
Yeah, I mean, he'd do anything for money too. Look, he did Godfather 3.
It's true. Have you ever seen The Cotton Club?
I may have seen it as a kid, but I don't remember it.
I saw it more recently as an adult because I saw it a bit as a kid and I was like, this movie's terrible. And I saw it as an adult, maybe in this movie because it was a notorious flop.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Coppola re-edited it and re-released it.
Was he the original director?
Yeah, he was the original director. And the studio had a lot of notes that he went along with, but he was like, I didn't want to do the changes. So he basically did his version of how he would do it. So I'm kind of curious.
So the movie that was originally released was not his cut?
It was, but he did a lot of stuff that he did not want to do. It was a very contentious, troubled production.
But later he went back and
just
re-edited
recently,
it?
yeah, like this year,
just recently.
they're re-releasing it in theaters and stuff. And,
cool. Have you seen it?
Not the new version. No.
I wonder.
But, I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah. What is it about?
It's about the Cotton Club in Harlem in the 30s.
Okay.
And it has like gangsters and stuff. I guess the Cotton Club was a real club in Harlem where, African American performers could perform but not attend as guests. You know what I mean? They couldn't go there as patrons. They could only go there
it was all
stage.
white audience?
Yeah, it was you could not have.
Interesting.
And
that's why it was called the Cotton Club.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. So but apparently the producers wanted less focus on the black characters and more focus on the white characters.
Oh,
So
okay.
Francis Ford Coppola went along with it, and he was like, I didn't want to because, it seems like ridiculous to have a thing set in the Cotton Club, and let's just focus on the white people.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think the new version has much more of the stories about the African American people and so on. Anyway.
Seems like it would be a lot more interesting, the lives of performers, rather than these people just coming to see a show.
Right.
Actually, the first movie was about actually, it's kind of neat. It's not that it's a sequel, but the first release is about the audience, and the second one is about the performers. And it's all taking place at the same time, but it's a different perspective on events.
Have you ever seen those Clint Eastwood movies that he did where it had to do with World War?
Fistful of Dollars?
No, with the he did two things about the war in Japan.
Oh no,
one of
I
them's
haven't
from the
seen
point
them
of view
yet.
of the Americans,
Yeah.
Flags of Our Fathers, and I forget what the other one was.
And Flags of the Enemy.
I think it was.
Or was it The Thin Red Line?
No, the Thin Line is a movie, but that's not the
that
one
wasn't
that.
as.
Anyway, it was a similar kind of thing where what was
Same events.
Yeah, they were connected, and so the fact that he did two movies, basically like with similar kind of things.
Interesting.
So, anyway, once again, back to The Godfather.
Yeah. So this is a kind of a slow minute. Basically, Mikey and Apollonia are getting it on, consummating the marriage.
Now, and I think this is the only nudity in the movie.
I think you're right.
We don't see anything.
No Lucy, no Connie, no Sandra.
What about GF2? Is GF2? Do we see any nudity when they go to Cuba?
Oh, maybe on stage
Superman?
from a distance. Yeah, Superman's peers, the actresses.
Actually, and we do see I think she's definitely naked, but I don't know how much you see the one that Senator Geary's playmate.
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure I don't remember if you see her like.
I mean, she's all cut up.
Yeah, or
maybe you do see her face.
I definitely know you can see her breathing.
Yeah,
so you can definitely see her skin, but
yeah. And you can also see at the end of GF1. It is GF1. When Tatali gets shot, he's with a whore.
Oh, it's true.
I don't know if it's a whore, but it's
everything
a naked woman in bed.
Yeah.
And I think you might be able to see some.
All right, we'll have to Kulta.
Yeah.
We'll keep everyone on the edge of their toes waiting for that moment.
Everything with him is horse. Everything with him is dead horse.
That's the thing with Jack Waltz. Everything with him is dead horse.
Dead horse.
Well, I have.
Yeah. Well, so what? Did you hear? What do Jack Waltz and Talia at the end of Godfather 1 have in common?
What?
They both sleep with dead whores.
They both go to bed with dead whores.
Oh no, what's the difference between them?
Yeah, what?
Talia goes to bed with a dead horse, and Jack Waltz wakes up with one.
Wow. One wakes up with a dead horse. One is in bed with with a dead whore. Or you can say the Senator Geary too. Wow, this is really the theme through the whole thing. Okay, so now you teased that there was some stuff in the book.
Tons of stuff in the book.
Particular. Yeah. So sort of a parallel to my stuff from last week. Last week I had all stuff about the history of marriage. This episode I have all stuff about nudity in films.
Car bombs? Oh, nudity in films.
Okay,
cool.
So you want to do your book stuff first?
I can do some book stuff first, yeah. Folks, I'm pulling the lamp up to my book. Mm-hmm. And this is minute 113. So I have quite a bit of stuff. I'll try to paraphrase, but I'll pause to do some comprehension assessment. I was
skip any of the sex stuff. That's what our audience is. They've been waiting for this minute.
As I said last week, there are tons of pages, graphic details about Michael and Apollonia. I mean, I'm talking details. I'm just skipping it all, though.
Wow.
Let's see. I'm pretty much skipping all that, but he goes into detail. Puzo writes, that night and the weeks that followed, Michael Corleone came to understand the premium put on virginity by socially primitive people. It was a period of sensuality that he had never before experienced.
A period of sensuality?
Yeah, a period. So him getting intimate with Apollonia the first several times.
Weird to refer to it as a period.
Well, a period of time.
I know, but it's such a I don't know. It just sounds weird. It's like a hockey, hockey. It's the first period, and Michael Corleone's in there, but
yeah, it was.
I generally don't hear people refer to that. Oh, I had a lovely period with you the other night.
Yeah, that's true.
It sounds weird.
Yeah,
like a robot. Or Mr. Data.
You know what? I'll change it. It was 3/4 of a game of sensuality. Timeout. He's only got one timeout left. Penalty box. Puzo does write a bit about the penalty box, but I'll spare you the details. Okay. It was a period.
Save it for the library.
It was a whole library. Bad choice of words. It was a period of sensuality that he had never before experienced. A sensuality.
Also, wait, a sidebar again,
Sure.
because the very first line in Star Wars in the opening crawl, it says it is a period of civil war.
Really?
So to have it to say it's a period of sensuality,
funny.
it also short circuits my Star Wars part of my brain.
Well, when was this written? This was like 73-ish?
Definitely before.
Oh, no, it was 69, wasn't it? Or 70?
I'm sorry.
He totally baited me, that whole Star Wars thing. No, it really was. Well, let me look. Hold on.
That.
I should know this already.
Yeah, you should. We've been quoting this book for...
You want to remember, Alex? You want to take a guess?
69.
Copyright 1969.
Yeah, up top.
Okay, let's see.
So George Lucas probably put that it is a period of civil war. So all the Godfather fans were like, oh.
Yeah, they were hoping to see a skin flick that night, space skin flick.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So it's a period of civil war.
Yeah. Well, I got to go back to my page.
It's a sensuous civil war.
It was a period of sensuality that he had never... It's like... Dun, 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 dun. It was a period of sensuality that he had never before experienced. The rebels
So
fleeing.
he was a virgin too. Sorry, I stepped on your joke.
Yeah, that's all right.
Start from the beginning.
That night and the weeks that followed, Michael Corleone came to understand the premium put on virginity by socially primitive people. Mm-hmm. That seems so anthropologic the way he's
probably not PC to say today.
No.
I hope he didn't say that to his wife. Hey, for a social primitive girl, you're pretty good. It's pretty sensual.
Maybe someday I'll teach you the days of the week. It was a period of sensuality that he had never before experienced. A sensuality mixed with a feeling of masculine power. Apollonia in those first days became almost his slave.
Ooh.
Given trust, given affection, a young full-blooded girl aroused from virginity to erotic awareness was as delicious as an exactly ripe fruit. Let me just tell him, time out.
Yeah.
Alex, that's just a taste of the preceding pages that describe the wedding night.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a whole, like 3/4 of the book. It's just that one night.
Wow.
Yeah.
He really was. So people must have been
told by the perspective of the
of Dr. Taza.
Dr. Taza in the closet, the voyeur, Dr. Taza.
So people, when they first saw the movie, must have been furious.
Oh yeah.
That they're like, oh man, I've been waiting for this big sex scene, this big period of sensuality they got coming up.
Especially because it cuts to Kay in her white ankles.
Her white, not primitive ankles.
They start throwing stuff, cannoli at the stage, the screen. Let's see. So
it was a period of raw sensuality.
I'm skipping ahead. Puzo writes, she had a wonderfully fresh smell, a fleshly smell perfumed by her sex, yet almost sweet and unbearably aphrodisiacal.
I always love when people use the term sex when they mean like genitalia, like her sex. I touched her sex.
That's old school.
It just seems so like Victorian.
Yeah, definitely. I thought you were going to say you like it when people use the word fleshly.
Fleshly.
Yeah, I've never seen that used as an adverb.
Yeah, I don't quite know what it means.
You going to make me read it again?
Fleshy.
She had a wonderfully fresh smell, a fleshly smell perfumed by her sex.
Fleshly.
A fleshly smell perfumed by her sex, yet almost sweet and unbearably aphrodisiacal.
Aphrodisiacal?
I knew there was another way to pronounce it.
I don't know if that's... I've never heard that also.
You and your Latin. You stick to your Latin, Alex.
Polygyny.
And there's so much more. Her virginal passion matched his nuptial lust. It goes on and on. I just wanted to give you a taste of it.
So when they're saying... Wait, what was that last one?
What I just said?
Her what is it?
Her virginal passion matched his nuptial lust, and often it was dawn when they fell into an exhausted slumber.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, in the first week of their marriage, they went on picnics and small trips in the Alfa Romeo. Alex, I'm going to give you a
quiz
check plus in for analysis, some questions you raised in previous minutes.
What's that?
Because Puzo writes, but then Don Tomasino took Michael aside and explained that the marriage had made his presence and identity common knowledge in that part of Sicily.
Oh,
and precautions.
You busted.
You busted. Is that what Don Tomasino said to Michael?
Michael, you busted.
Miguel, you busted. We'll have to ask our Sicilian consigliere, how do you say you busted in Sicilian?
Busted, yeah.
Made his presence and identity common knowledge in that part of Sicily, and precautions had to be taken against the enemies of the Corleone family, whose long arms also stretched to this island refuge. Let's see. So Michael and his wife had to remain on the villa grounds. Michael passed the time by teaching Apollonia to read and write English. Mm-hmm. And also by teaching her to drive the car along the inner walls of the villa.
Aww.
So she only knew how to drive in circles, which we see later in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they moved to a place with a lot of traffic circles.
She'd be a great race car driver because she would just keep turning left or whatever you.
What you don't see later in the movie, you think it was a car bomb that killed her. Mm-hmm. It was actually she just ran into the wall.
Oh wow. Yeah. What day did that happen?
Oh, it happened on Monday, Tuesday?
No.
Let's see. Okay, this is an interesting.
This is the climax of the writing.
Well, it doesn't have to do with their wedding or the marriage, but it's a story told in the book now that it's not in the movie, and it's really cool.
The book is different than the movie.
The book is different than the movie. The book is different than the movie. The book is different. The book is different. The book is different than the movie. Yeah.
Page 343, Puzo writes, one night in the garden, an old village woman who worked in the house as a servant brought a dish of fresh olives and then turned to Michael and said, "Is it true what everybody is saying, that you are the son of Don Corleone in New York City, the Godfather?"
The titular Godfather. Academy Award winner Marlon Brando. Introducing Al Pacino.
This is like an advertising spot they filmed during the making of it.
You won't want to miss it.
And Michael, wanting to disguise himself, saying, No, but I'm his brother Fredo. Send Fredo to Sicily to get married. Puzo writes, Michael saw Don Tomasino shaking his head in disgust at the general knowledge of their secret. He's probably thinking, oh my God, my one responsibility was to
You had one job, Don Tomasino.
I had one job. You couldn't even do it. Some friend of mine. I'm going to come over and shoot your other leg.
Unless on some level Don Tomasino wanted Michael to be. Maybe he really pushed Mikey into this to
what do you mean?
So that Don Tomasino could take over the Corleones are being driven out of New York.
Yeah, they don't have that kind of muscle anymore.
Yeah,
I think Don Tomasino
take over the Go ahead, say it.
No, it's not. I'm not going to say it. I think he's making a deal with Mo Green.
Oh, with Mo Green?
Yeah.
So that he could keep his olive oil factory and still keep the casino.
Yeah.
Go ahead, come on, say it.
I'm not going to say it. You say it. All right, we'll both say it. Don Tomasino talk to Barzini.
Woo! Good night, everybody.
Good night. We'll see you, Corleone, next weekend.
Ciao. Tentani.
Let's see. Don Tomasino shakes his head in disgust, but the old crone was looking at him.
The old crone.
That's what he writes.
She casts a
I don't
spell
know who
on
he's
him.
referring to. Is that the woman?
Yeah, the woman. The crone is an old lady.
Crone. But the old crone was looking at him in so concerned a fashion as if it was important for her to know the truth that Michael nodded. Do you know my father? He asked. The woman's name was Philomena. She had brown stained teeth.
I know your father.
The eye. Give respect the eye.
I went to him on the day of his daughter's wedding. I put a curse on him for killing my husband, Don Chicho. And my son, he never fulfilled the favor to my son, Bonacera, America.
The crone.
Let's see. This is the old crone now. The Godfather saved my life once. I'm all British now. The Godfather saved my life once, she said, and my brains too. She made a gesture toward her head. Blah blah blah.
What?
Yeah. So Michael's interested in this, and so the woman, the old crone, asked,
Save my brains. Look, I have this job.
And my brains are going to be all over the contract. But I released him from. I released your father
wow.
from the deal. He no longer. Don Corleone's wife, Mama, was on contract with me, but I released her so that my brains weren't all over the contract, so they could get married.
Mama.
The woman, the old crone,
Mamma
asked,
mia?
This is
That's what Mikey would say to that. Mamma mia?
Mamma tu. The old crone almost asked Michael fearfully, "Is it true? Is it true that Luca Brasi is dead?"
Whoa!
Yeah.
So he knew that. Mikey didn't know that before he left.
Yeah, remember the whole
He
sleeps with the
hung up the
fishes.
phone.
He
They're
was
trying
there.
to keep him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is unrelated to marriage, but there's a cool Luca Brasi thing
Right.
here.
Goes
so.
to Luca Brasi.
Yeah, and you don't
on
really,
Sicily.
in the movie you don't learn much about him. So
No.
that's why I wanted to take some time to talk about it today. Let's see. Michael nodded again and was surprised at the look of release on the old woman's face. Oh, so I guess Michael confirms that he's dead. Philomena crossed herself and said, "God forgive me, but may his soul rest in hell for eternity."
Whoa! Why'd she hate Luca Brasi so much?
He's not such a bad guy. Right? Doing favors for people.
Carving wax dummies.
Carving wax dummies.
He's a Scotch connoisseur.
He used to
I offered
recommend
him Scotch one time. He refused it.
Do you want to take a guess, Alex, why she is glad Luca Brasi is rotting in hell?
I'm going to guess
With
that
the fishes?
he must have killed somebody that she cared about. She killed her husband.
You're wrong, but you're close.
He killed her husband.
Well, it's complicated. They were in a sororal polygynistic relationship.
Oh, boy.
I forget what all those were. I just like saying sororal polygynistic.
that one's Luca was married to several sisters.
Oh, I can see him doing that.
Oh, totally.
He's the kind of guy that would do that.
Don't call you.
Your sister.
Wife number one. Get your sister.
Let's see. Michael remembered his old curiosity about Brasi and had the sudden intuition that this woman knew the story that Hagen and Sonny had refused to tell him. He poured the woman a glass of wine, had her sit down, and he said, Tell me about my father and Luca Brasi. I know some of it, but how did they become friends, and why was Brasi so devoted to my father?
Well, Johnny Fontaine was under contract with his band leader, you see. That's the story.
You sound like Tatalia there.
I didn't have any insurances. My brains will not end up on his contract.
How will we know when Don Corleone consolidates strength that he will not release Mama from the contract?
So he says, tell me about my father.
So I'll paraphrase. 30 years before, this woman, this old crone Philomena.
So 30 years before.
30 years before, yeah.
So that would be
This was 46.
This would be 1916-ish.
Yeah, wow. Sounds like a long
World War
time
I
ago.
is raging.
So this woman,
Don Corleone is already in America.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she has this contact with him in America.
Oh, yeah. So she is, and you're about to learn how they meet.
Ooh.
I just winked at Alex. You're about to find out how they met.
This is a sexy minute.
Yeah, Puzo. Any opportunity to write about the hot and
When I was a girl, my vagina was the biggest in the village. For miles around they would come.
They called it rural polygyny. I called it fun. So 30 years earlier,
a period of sensuality.
so this woman Philomena had been a midwife in New York City.
Oh,
Yeah, not what you thought, right?
no.
On 10th Avenue, which is where the whole Sicilian community was. She served the Italian colony. The women were always pregnant, and she prospered. Her husband had a prosperous grocery store, so they were really doing well. One cursed night 30 years ago, when all honest people were long in their beds, there was a knock on the door, and who was it?
Luca Bracci.
Nobody home.
Luca Bracci here. Flowers.
Oh, flowers for me?
I got you.
When she opens the door, he's just like,
Not bad.
She looks to the little peephole and his eyes are all bulged out, his tongue's all sticking out.
is it because he thinks he's about to get away with tricking her? Let's see. It was Luca Brasi, whose reputation even then was fearsome. It was also known that
Don't forget, this is 30 years ago when Luca was probably a much more in his prime handsome fellow.
Well, it was known also that he was a bachelor.
Yeah.
And so Philomena was immediately frightened.
You doing a little beatboxing
Bachelor's
there?
I was doing the wah-wah pedal.
Got it. Yeah. Some 70s groove.
But that's not a good thing in 1916. You have this big bachelor, apparently. So she was worried.
Because a bachelor is...
And his late hours, he had a reputation.
So...
Let's see.
Yeah, because I guess all decent people get married at a certain...
Yeah. He was known to be fearsome. She thought he had come to do her husband harm. That perhaps her husband had foolishly refused Brazzi some small favor. Brazzi, let's see, had come on the usual errand. So I'll cut to the chase. Luca Brazzi told her that he needed her services that night. So he said, come with me. And she's like, oh, I don't want to go with this dude. But he...
Nobody says no to Luca Brasi.
It was an offer she couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
It was the original offer that couldn't be refused.
Oh, that's what gave him...
I should do this more often.
Yeah. He didn't say that, but that's
Yeah.
where apparently that's where Don Corleone got the idea later.
From Luca Brasi?
Yeah, I'm making this up.
Oh.
But I think maybe when Don Corleone, the band leader, because remember Luca Brasi was there
Yeah.
at that moment, and Janko.
Yeah.
Don Corleone's like saying, sign the contract. The band leader's like, no, I don't want to sign it. Come on.
Please. Come on.
What can I do? Can I give you something for you to sign the contract?
I'll give you $30. I'll give you $30 to sign the contract.
So Luca Brazzi ended up being the original consigliere.
Oh,
So
he
he was
was,
like-
it's like...
Don't call you make him an offer. He can't refuse.
What do you mean, Luca?
Is this all on the
What
side?
do you mean, Luca?
No, they're still holding the gun to his head.
If you make him an offer that he can't refuse, he'll have to accept it.
He's all logical and analytical.
The blackboard, diagramming.
He gives the gun to Janko, who has to keep holding the gun on the band leader.
If you make him this offer, and through my logic model, he'll have to accept it.
Oh my God, that makes perfect sense.
And you can keep making offers in the future that people can't refuse, but you've got to give me credit every time you do it. I get 10 cents every time you threaten somebody.
So let's see. So she goes with him. They drive.
They drive.
They drive more than 30 minutes to a small frame house in Long Island City, right over the bridge.
That seems very strange to me.
Where do you think this is going, Alex? Make a prediction.
I'm guessing he's gonna have along the theme of the minute. He's gonna make an untoward advance on her.
Let's see.
He's gonna try to touch her sex.
Would that be in Puzo's writing style?
Well, they wouldn't. I'm not saying the writing style. I'm sure it gets much more earthy than that. But
Okay.
so that's what I'm gonna guess. Though.
Okay. Let's see.
Well, she's a midwife, though.
She's a midwife.
Maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe he's like he's making her abort some babies. Oh, I think we might have told this story now that you think about it. Go ahead.
Did we?
Does he like pick up a baby and throw it in the fireplace or something? Does it?
I'm not going to spoil the end of the story.
Okay.
They go to a 2-family house. Blah, blah, blah. There were some other ruffians playing cards in the kitchen. Brazzi took Philomena.
Are they letting the negotiator win?
Yeah, it's Clemens. It's actually the future.
Yeah,
they see the future. Michael's about to kill. Oh, this is Michael hearing the story.
Yeah.
Of the night when he's actually going to kill the Turk and McCluskey.
They were.
She thinks it's 30 years earlier.
Yeah, because she's
It's really just
her brain's
8 months ago.
The primitive people.
Yeah. Brazzi took Philomena up the stairs to a bedroom. In the bed was a young, pretty girl who looked Irish. Her face painted, her hair red, and with a belly swollen like a sow. That's Puzo style. Mm-hmm. The poor girl was so frightened. When she saw Brazzi, she turned her head away in terror. Yes, terror. And indeed, the look of hatred on Brazzi's evil face was the most frightening thing she had ever seen in her life. Here, Philomena crossed herself again. You know what that means. As she's telling the story to Mikey.
Yeah. Crossed herself, meaning she made an enemy of herself.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. So they delivered the baby. She delivered the baby.
Oh, good. Happy ending.
And then that's
So,
it. So not bad, right? So
That's the whole story, or something.
So yeah, Michael doesn't want it. Dr. Taza keeps interrupting. Mikey, you don't want to hear the end of this story. It's happy.
Look at my videotapes.
You were videotaping me in my bedroom where my children play. It doesn't have the same aggressiveness with his jaw all locked up.
Yeah, exactly. Mikey, things have been going on between men and women for 1,000 years.
All the dialogue just keeps getting recycled in this time machine. So let's see. Philomena wraps the baby in a bundle.
Also, the baby's born.
It's born, yeah.
Oh, I thought he said her belly was all distended like a sow.
Oh, yeah. The midwife delivers the baby.
She delivers the baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why she was called to the house.
Got it.
Just to end the story, she wraps the baby in a blanket, hands it to Luca Brazzi and says, "If you're the father, take her. My work is finished." Brazzi glared at her malevolently, insanity stamped on his face. Yes, I'm the father," he said, "but I don't want any of that race to live.
Whoa.
Take it down to the basement and throw it into the furnace."
Whoa.
Dun, dun, dun. This would have to be.
I refuse to do this.
Either that baby or you wind up in that furnace. That's my family. That's not me.
So Philomena was puzzled. She thought he was joking. Let's see. And well, she was Puzo right. She was puzzled by the use of the word race.
Yeah.
Did he mean because the girl was not Italian, or did he mean because the girl was obviously of the lowest type, a whore in short? Or did he mean that anything springing from his loins he forbade to live?
Wow.
Yeah. And then she was sure he was making a brutal joke. "It's your child. Do what you want." And she tried to hand him the bundle.
Yeah.
Long story short, he wouldn't take the baby. And let's see. It was terrible. Philomena said it was so terrible. They were like two mad animals. So this was the Irish woman and
Luca.
yeah, they were not human. The hatred they bore each other blazed through the room. Nothing else, not even the newborn infant, existed for them at that moment. Yet there was a strange passion, a bloody, demonical lust so unnatural you knew they were damned forever. Then Luca Brazzi turned back to Philomena and said harshly, "Do what I tell you. I'll make you rich."
Oh.
Yeah. A little silver lining, right? So
That's an offer.
He pulls out a shirt. He pulls out a knife from his shirt and says, "I'll cut your throat if you don't kill this baby." He walks her down to the basement, and she realizes it's pretty much going to be her or kill the baby.
Wow.
Let's see. The next thing she knows, she's kind of like blacking out. Someone opened the furnace door. Brazzi was going to kill her. He pushed her toward the open furnace, and so she had to choose. At this point, this is now Philomena telling the story to Michael. She fell silent. She folded her bony hands in her lap and looked directly at Michael. He knew what she wanted, how she wanted to tell him, without using her voice. He asked gently. She's not, "What did you say?"
Take the cotton out of your mouth.
"Take the wire out of your jaw and let me finish the story."
Oh.
"Did you do it?" It was only after another glass. Oh, she nodded. And then they drank another glass of wine. This is kind of an interesting afterlog. She understood that if she uttered a word about this, she would be killed. But 2 days later, Brazzi murdered the young Irish girl, the mother of the infant, and was arrested by the police. Philomena, frightened out of her wits, went to the Godfather and told her story. He ordered her to keep silent, that he would attend to everything.
Shut up.
Shut the mouth. You can act
What's the
like...
matter with you?
What's the matter with you? You can act like a midwife.
Oh, they made me kill the baby. What's the matter with you? You look terrible.
You look terrible. Get some sleep. Eat some food. There's a month from now. There's this big shot New York hitman's not gonna bother you. He's gonna give you everything you want. He's gonna give you back that baby you burned. At that time, Brazzi did not work for Don Corleone.
Oh, he was a free agent.
He was free agent. He was on the market. Before Don Corleone could set matters right, so he's in jail. Luca Brazzi's in jail. Before Don Corleone could set matters right, Luca Brazzi tries to commit suicide in his cell, hacking at his throat with a piece of glass.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was transferred to the prison hospital, and by the time he recovered, Don Corleone had arranged everything. The police did not have a case they could prove in court, and Luca Brazzi was released. Don Corleone assured Philomena she had nothing to fear from Brazzi, the police, anyone else, but she was so freaked out by this whole thing. She and her husband moved to Sicily. Her husband mismanaged the finances in Sicily. They became poor, and they both had to become servants. And that's why she's now working for Dr. Taza as a servant.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting? It kind of came all
She's not
around.
a midwife anymore.
I don't think so.
Or unless maybe she helps Dr. Taza with midwifery every now
Maybe, yeah.
Huh.
Let's see. And so finally, Philomena says, "I bless the name of your father, Mikey. He always sent me money when I asked. He saved me from Brazzi. Tell him I say a prayer for his soul every night and that he shouldn't fear dying."
Ooh.
Dying.
It's like a threat. He shouldn't fear dying because there's nothing he can do to stop it. So that's
and
interesting.
Michael asked Don Tomasino, "Is it true? Is it true? Is it true, Don Tomasino?" And he confirms that it's true.
He says, "Never ask me about my business, Mike.
Never ask me about...
This one time I will let you ask me."
Never ask me about Luca Brazzi's past.
So there's two questions I have about that. Mm-hmm. Does they explain why the Don hired Luca? Like why did the Don do all that? Because he didn't want the woman to get in trouble? Why did he go through the trouble of...
He doesn't explain, but good question. My guess is that Don Corleone's sort of starting to come up in power, and he's a respected man in the community. So he's, like we see in Godfather 2, he helps people with their troubles. Remember, the woman comes, "I'm getting evicted."
But did he hire Luca Brazzi? Is that the start of their relationship?
That's probably the start, because he saved Luca Brazzi from death and from the police and from being stuck in jail. So I'm guessing Don Corleone has this now undying loyalty. That's probably where it stems from.
But like that means Don Corleone was like, well, this guy threw a live child into a furnace. Like,
I see potential in this man.
yeah, I mean, it seems like the Don always portrays himself as being so like
It's not justice. That's like,
he's like,
about
"Wait,
you can kill people for me. All right, I'll let it slide this time.
I mean, talk about an infamy there, right?
yeah.
I swear on the souls of my grandchildren, those not burned by Luca Brasi.
I mean, unless he doesn't count an Irish child as a he's like, oh, let them lose their souls. Who
Maybe,
cares?
yeah. You'd like to think that Coppola portrays Don Corleone better than the other Dons, the other
Right.
crime family bosses,
Yeah.
but he could be just as old school mustache beat and think that non-Italians are not worth saving.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
I'm sure he.
Yeah.
I'm sure, well, the book Don Corleone definitely seems like
Yeah.
he would be someone like that.
Yeah.
But, like I think if they had included that, can you imagine if they included that scene in the movie? Would that be like too far? Would people be like, "Whoa, this is too"? I'm okay with you threatening a band leader and cutting off a horse's head, but
Yeah.
throwing a baby into a fire.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, and he couldn't do it. He made a midwife do it.
Well, that's
He
what else
made
is-
exactly the opposite of what a midwife does.
You had one job, midwife. Well, that's what's also weird is that he also kills her like a day or two later. Seems like it would have been easier to just kill her right
yeah.
then when she was first of all, the
Kill
fact
a
that he even
baby? Kill his own baby?
well, the fact that he even stuck around until she had the baby
I know.
is like
Yeah,
baffling.
Well, I think he was so primitive. He's such a Neanderthal that he didn't even want that baby around because it wasn't of Italian.
But that's what I mean.
Or I don't know. Maybe it was because it was from him. Like Philomena was wondering. Maybe he knows he's cursed.
maybe it's because but then why wouldn't he just kill her and kill
Yeah,
the baby?
yeah.
Like he's clearly has no compunction about. It's not
Yeah.
like he has a conscience unless it's some Sicilian thing that it's like, oh, it's a mortal crime to kill an unbaptized baby or something.
That's
So
probably his thinking.
As long as I don't kill the baby,
Yeah.
if someone else can kill it, but I can still get into heaven.
Or at least like if it was baptized, then kill it because then it would go to
Yeah.
heaven as opposed to now that baby's stuck
But
in
committing
purgatory somewhere.
suicide in the eyes of the Catholic Church, you can't get into heaven.
Right.
So I guess he lost. Because remember, in the prison, he tries to kill himself.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But maybe he just realized, he just started losing his mind after knowing he had his own child killed.
Yeah. He just got so depressed.
I had very high hopes for my baby. Could have been Senator Blassie, Governor Blassie. Could have been Button Man Blassie. Could have been Candy Store Blassie. There wasn't enough time.
I like that Don Corleone hearing this story from Philomena. Like,
This guy, I could get this guy to work for me. You see a baby killer. I see someone who can get my future nephew out of a lucrative band contract.
Yeah, I guess those are the kind of if there's someone whose cold blood is that cold, they could come in handy. And
I've been needing a guy to do those kind of kill some people for me. I just got Jenko.
yeah, I guess as long as you think you can control him enough.
right. Well, I guess by getting him out of jail, that's the
Yeah. But still, I mean, it's still risky. He's probably out of his mind.
right.
Who knows what he's capable of doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, The Life of Time. It would be a great spin-off. A real gritty, not outtakes, but a whole parallel story.
Do you think-
Godfather series.
Do you think if they had done The Godfather nowadays, would they have kept going after Godfather 2?
Oh,
Like, would they have every 3 years, would we have another Godfather movie sort of following the adventures
probably
of the
because it
Corleone
was so
family?
successful.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Now
I
it's
think
all
so.
about the money.
Yeah. It's always the
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So that's all I have about the book.
That was very
Yeah.
revealing.
Very interesting stuff.
I like how we took the moment with like the sexiest or the most like romantic, erotic thing. And we're like, let's talk about someone throwing a baby into a fireplace.
So I do think that this does make watching the movie more interesting. So Luca Brasi, when you see him, he's not in the movie very much.
Yeah.
But knowing all of this background information, I watching the movie again, I'm sure we're going to know that, and it's going to add some dynamic to his character and his role.
Yeah.
It enhances the viewing experience.
Yes. So from what you said, Tom and Sonny knew that story,
Yeah, but they didn't tell
but
Michael.
they didn't tell Mikey.
Yeah. Why not?
Why
do you think they didn't tell him?
I don't know, because he's a civilian. Or maybe they're just worried that it would. I was going to say ruin. It would. You could never look Brazzi the same way again.
It's a true story, Kay. That's Luca Brazzi, not me.
I would have killed the baby, then threw it in the fireplace. I'm not a monster.
Oh, absolutely terrible.
So onto more pleasant topics. I have a history of nudity and sex scenes in films.
This is a real whipsaw. You see a naked Apollonia,
Yeah.
a dying baby, back to nudity. Yeah, lay it on me.
Well, the first sex scene, and sex in quotes, is considered to be a 1896 movie.
I didn't even know movies were around back then.
Yeah, generally I think around 1894 is when movies started to become...
It makes sense that within 2 years they're making porn.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. They say any new technology that comes out, the quicker the putting it for use for pornographic purposes is what will make it. That's what drove VCR sales. That's what drove
new
the film
technology,
industry.
yeah.
That's what drove the internet. You know, everything is just powered by people's desires to look at boobies. So the film was called The Kiss.
Whoa.
And it was literally just a scene of two people kissing. It was the first scene, widely a thing of people kissing in a movie.
Oh, fascinating. Is it still around? Can you watch it?
Oh, yeah, you can see it.
Oh, you can.
I mean, it's so like...
Yeah, I'm sure it's...
It's like, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very controversial in its day. One review was... The spectacle of prolonged pasturing on each other's lips was beastly enough in life size on stage, but magnified to gargantuan proportions, it is absolutely disgusting.
Oh, dun, dun.
You look at it now, you're like, what? It's like...
Boy, standards have changed.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he meant just discussing that it was all black and white and scratchy.
Oh,
and he's like, that's all it was, just him kissing. Where's the Where's that hardcore MMF action that we want?
I've been waiting 2 years since this technology got developed. I fought in the Spanish-American War.
In a 1915 movie called Inspiration, that was the first time a U.S. film had a naked lead actor in it.
Whoa.
A lady, not surprisingly. In 1930, nudist movies became very popular.
What's a nudist movie?
Well, you could sort of, by showing like life at a nudist camp or a nudist colony, it's like, oh, look at the wholesomeness of nature. In the early days of nudity on screen, they would frequently put either a religious thing behind it or a medical reason behind it. Like we're illustrating stories from the Bible, so you could show people.
But it was a workaround, a loophole.
Yes, a buffer, if you will. So people would use that as an excuse for like, you could show this because it's educational and so on.
Where would people see these movies? Were they in theaters? I guess they had to be, because it's not like people had this technology at home.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, they were even talking about like I guess Germany was the first thing to have like 3 days a week. They would have like stag films, and only men could go to the theater to see these movies that had these kind of things in it.
Because you always want to watch your porn with a bunch of dudes.
That's a tale as old as time, man. But then after that, the Hays Code came around and made nudity in films forbidden until 1963, when Jane Mansfield appeared topless in the movie Promises, ushering in a new era of nudity.
Isn't it funny? That's not that long ago.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine
really
our
not.
grandmother lived in an age where like she was anyway.
Yeah. Our grandmother was probably born in like 1900, around then.
I think she was born like 1910.
Oh, 1910. Okay.
Yeah.
So she probably heard older people talking about the kiss
It was a little controversial.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
We snuck in to see the kiss.
Disgusting.
One last thing before I have a question for you, but nowadays, an increasing number of movies are using intimacy coordinators, which is like a
Really?
stunt coordinator, but for the sex scenes in movies. Like,
So a double, like a stunt, like a sex double.
no, like a coordinator who's like, okay, in this now you'll kiss her here, and then you move this way, like kind of coordinating how because they're saying it's like to make sure the actors are like comfortable doing everything, and it's so it's kind of like someone who's there
as
is like
director being like, yeah, I'll grab it there.
yeah, like a stunt coordinator,
Yeah.
except for sex scenes.
Interesting.
So,
What's it called? An intimacy
coordinator.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
I'm guessing it's also probably like a legal thing. Well,
Yeah.
we had an intimacy
Yeah,
coordinator
that's
on
true,
stage.
yeah.
It's not our fault.
Yeah,
you
we're
know.
not liable. We had to train
It's a
professional.
contract. So my question for you,
Okay, would I want to be an intimacy coordinator?
my question for you is, what are scenes of nudity that you remember for the
great
scene for the first
question.
time, or like that stand out to you
Oh gosh.
from your youth?
Oh boy.
It'll be interesting because while we are close in age, this seems like it could be something it could be very different because that
movies-
age gap can be a big thing.
Yeah.
Like when one of us is like 15 and the other
Oh
one
my
is like
gosh.
12, you know. I thought of food.
Oh, I know when you say them that they're
Yeah.
going to stand out, but I can't even. Was there something? There wasn't something in Poltergeist. Oh, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th,
definitely.
all those slasher movies.
Oh
I
yeah,
guess,
that was a
had
big
some-
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they were at camp too.
Yeah.
There was one point they were playing strip poker.
Yeah.
and the girls are getting undressed and everything. Yeah.
Zapped.
Oh,
Is one I remember.
Yes, Scott Baio and Heather Locklear.
No, Heather Thomas.
Heather Thomas. Yeah,
and
it's just a flash, isn't it?
Yes.
Is she in a dark room and there's just a quick flash?
Oh, she's not in a dark room. So the movie Zapped is about Scott Baio who gets exposed to toxic waste or something.
Yeah.
And he gets telekinetic powers.
Yeah, you can't see it anywhere. We tried to download it or watch it on DVD. I mean, this was years ago, and we couldn't find it anywhere. It might be one of those movies that's just sort of lost in the digital transition.
You can check on YouTube. It might be
We'll look on YouTube. Yeah. And so
Heather Thomas, but that is not really her boobs because she had a body double. The intimacy coordinator arranged for her to have a body double.
I don't think they had intimacy coordinators in it back then, Alex.
Yeah,
They did. It was called the director.
it's called a casting couch. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High, also very popular.
Baby Kate.
Phoebe Cates coming out of the pool with while Judge Reinhold is spanking it. That's a great film. I got to see that again.
Great. It's on cable all the time.
Yeah, I gotta.
We've seen it a bunch the past few years.
I think it's on like streaming places and stuff like that.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of dialogue in that movie that you would recognize.
Oh, sure.
instantly.
Yeah.
Spicoli or Mr. Hand.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Hand.
so
You
great.
got,
Spicoli arrives late to class on the first day. Oh, come right in. Thank you for coming.
As someone in education now, do you feel more sympathy for Mr.
Oh,
Hand?
absolutely. Yeah. He's one of my heroes. He confiscates the pizza and gives it to everybody else. He rips up his schedule. So awesome.
You dick. Stripes also has some nudity in it when they're wrestling in the when the ox is wrestling in the mud.
And when they're in the officer's house that one night, and Bill Murray and his lady friend come out of that chest at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she's totally naked.
I don't think
She might be top. Maybe she's wearing.
I think she might be wearing like a shirt and just like no pants or
Yeah.
something like that.
And that actress was also in Friday the 13th.
PJ Souls, she's in a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Also in Stripes, and probably now that I think about it, is that scene where oh my gosh, what's his name? John Larroquette, who's the sergeant, is looking through the binoculars
in the shower. Yeah, Porky.
Go ahead. Oh, Porky's, yeah.
Porky's too.
Yeah.
There's
I remember watching the Stripes once with Mom, and that scene came on. I was like, "Oh, this is."
oh gosh.
So anyway, those are some. So if you were a horny teenager in the 80s, these are some of the boobs you saw on television.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine sitting through Godfather just for the boobs if it's just this one shot. I'd be pretty
it's a long way.
Pretty
They
disappointed.
make you sit through all the Sicily scenes.
Yeah, exactly. All that romantic stuff.
It's a pretty good payoff.
Do you think if you went to Camel Video to rent the VHS of The Godfather, it would be worn out? Because you know sometimes you can tell where people had paused it and rewound it.
It's all blurry.
Yeah, because
all
the
cut
tracking
out.
gets
Oh
all...
my gosh. Yeah, the tracking.
So...
yes, I do think there would be tracking issues in those 10 seconds of the film.
So there you go. There is
History of nudity in film.
Not complete history, but enough to whet your appetite.
Yeah, poor choice of words, Alex.
So what are we going to rate this minute?
What are we going to rate it?
All right, are you ready?
Now remember, Alex, we're rating the story, the characters,
cinematography, music,
the writing,
themes,
the shots,
makeup,
visual
effects,
blocking, cinematography, screenplay,
sound design,
intimacy coordination.
I would say costume design, but not in this case.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah!
Yeah.
Until then, there will be no acts of vengeance.